Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and two dear friends and colleagues here today. I feel so excited to bring these two into your homes, into your hearts as they are in mine, because they're two incredibly special humans. Um, and I don't say that lightly. You haven't heard me say that about a lot of people. So here's the thing. So say hello to Monique and Stacy. I'm going to have them introduce themselves a little bit and tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do. But we're here to share something really special with you today. So first, let's jump in. Monique, share with everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, Karen. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Monique Costello. I'm a functional medicine wellness coach and chef. And what I do is I think about it this way. I touch all the wellness points of an umbrella from cooking and eating and how we eat and nervous system dysregulations and somatics and corporate wellness and running glorious retreats. So I'm here to help you really find your happy is the best way to say it.
Love that. Love that. Who doesn't need more happy in their life, right? I mean, we could all use that. Stacy
Yeah.
and I have known each other for a long time. So Stacy, share with everybody a little bit about you and what you do.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for having us today, Karen.
Mhm.
Um, my name is Stacy Stone. I am a movement specialist, personal trainer, pain and posture coach, body wizard, lots of different names that I've kind of gone by over the last 20 years teaching movement. At this point in my career and in my practice, I'll say I've come to a place of helping people work with pain in their bodies, and applying the tools of different tools of movement, whether it's stretching, a specific type of stretching, myofascial stretching, or yin yoga, or restorative yoga, or strength training, using all of these different tools to help people come to and connect with a more balanced place in their bodies so that they can move in their daily lives without pain. Whether that's somebody that wants to just run around and chase after their kids or grandkids, or it's somebody that wants to get back to their tennis game or running or something like that. So, also, like Monique, covering a lot of the different aspects of that when it comes to how to eat to support a pain free body, how does stress play into that? What about your breathing? What about quiet time in your life? What about connection to the elements? So I'm happy to be here and joining forces with Monique in this retreat that we have to offer in 2025.
Mm. Well, as you can
Mhm.
probably tell, these two incredible women here are multi-talented and have so many amazing skills that they can offer and so much experience too. And Stacy, let the cat out of the bag there because we are here today. And that's okay. We're here today to share with you an amazing retreat hosted by these two incredible women coming up next year. So it's coming up in March next year. The retreat is called Unwinding Pain. So if you, like many people on this planet today, myself included, by the way, I live with chronic, back pain. Um, the retreat is called Unwinding Pain. It's happening in Asheville, North Carolina in March. We'll give you the dates later on and some more details. But I wanted to bring these guys with you today because I think that many of you could really benefit from this retreat and this special event that these two are putting together. So we're going to be sharing a little bit with you about what you can walk away with from the retreat. So, Monique, do you want to tap us into who this retreat is for?
Mm. Yes, we want to say this retreat is for everyone, right? But we really are we're focusing on women in this retreat. So it is first of all, it's a woman's only retreat.
Mhm.
And we're really catering to that individual who wants to learn how to unwind that chronic pain, right? And sort of deal with the elements in their body. Um, and we've talked about this a little bit before, the three of us before we started recording, but we could take this word pain and we could replace it with stress. So if you're that individual who has that chronic pain, or if you're that individual that just feels like I'm so stressed out that I can't pay attention to life. I feel like I'm watching life from the sideline. I'm not even present in the moment. I feel like things are just going by me and I don't even know what has happened. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know where I'm headed. Right? This is that pause. This is where we're taking the red buzzer and we're saying, stop, let's stop and see what got us here and how do I modify this so I can make changes going forward in my future so that I can just enjoy life more. I can be more present. I can enjoy whether it's my kids more, my spouse more, whether I can pay more attention at my job and think more coherently, whether I can just have a deeper night's sleep and get up and have less pain in my body and feel energy that I haven't perhaps felt in years.
Mm. Yeah. So
Mm.
I think that, like you said, that could be for so many of us. I think we have accepted stress and pain as normal in our life. And I think that what I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, either of you, is
Yeah.
that we have an opportunity here to say, no, I'm not just going to live like that anymore. I'm going to see that there is another route and that there is hope and that there is possibility for something other than living on the sidelines, right? Because that is
Yeah.
I know I've been there at some point in my life. Have you guys been there at some point? Right. So we know what it's
Absolutely.
like.
Yeah.
And, that also means that we know it can be different. And that is so powerful to be in the hands of people who actually get it, who know what it's like, right? To be on the sidelines, to be in pain, to be dealing with stress and have found a way out. So, Stacey, share with me how somebody's going to feel as they walk away from these couple of days together, right? What difference is it going to make in somebody's life?
Very good question. Um, the goal, our intention is in creating this spaciousness with the retreat, this pause, is that as the participants walk away, they're going to walk away with a sense of ease, with a sense of peace, and I want to include in that empowerment that in the sense that they have the tools and they know how to use them. I
Mm,
think a lot of times we can get tools and we're like, well, that's a good tool, put it over here, and we don't use it. I
mhm,
think by removing ourselves from the situation, I'll say, which the situation being our current daily reality, by removing ourselves from that and putting ourselves in, I want to say, like a neutral, a safe holding space, in this house that we've chosen, in this location, we are giving the participants the opportunity to rise above that reality that they're always experiencing and see it in a different way so
mhm,
that they can sense it in a different way. They can learn about themselves and come back to the situation, their reality, their life, with an understanding of the little things that wind them up and cause more stress, more anxiety, more pain. So there's a clarity that will come with it. There's an empowerment. And I also want to say, like, there's going to be a vitality, like a vitality for life again, an excitement for life, and not like, "Ugh, do I have to get up and do this again tomorrow?" Like, right? Like, I'm sure we've all had that experience before. And when those types of feelings go day after day after day, it's like it gets hard to get up in the morning. So we want to just stoke that vitality and that excitement for life, and feel that you have, or connect with the sense that you're being heard. Like, you're gonna have
Mm,
people in this space, both Monique and I, that we understand we're there to hear you, to listen, and to help you, and to also help you understand what the body is saying to you. So on the other
mm,
side, you come out feeling that your body is your friend and your best ally, and
Mhm.
not your enemy. And that was, as I was preparing for this, I was like, that's a thing that especially when we're in pain, we feel like the body is our enemy. It's out to get us. Everything is bad, right? And that's not what this thing is here for. And if we can provide that perspective within this retreat, and so you come out with a new friend, I think that's going to be a huge piece to helping unwind the pain.
mm. And I think too, as somebody that specializes in working with breast cancer survivors, I hear very often how we've turned on our body, right? And it's like we lose trust in our body.
Mhm.
We lose um trust in our strength. We might be living with chronic pain because of medications, or because of side effects of treatment, or because you're now going through menopause. These are all things that I know these ladies will be addressing in this retreat. And that's why I wanted to bring it in front of you guys today, because I know that this will be helpful for you. And I remember going through cancer treatment, and the way that I framed it for myself is that cancer came, it borrowed my body for a while, and now it's gone.
Mhm.
Because I, and this is something that I've learned in ways just like both of you, and I know in what you teach, it's that we need to respect and love this vessel that carries us through every day. And it's hard when we're living in chronic pain. It is hard when we're living with chronic stress. And we're being offered an opportunity here to look at those things maybe in a way that you haven't before, because this isn't about one more thing to do. This is about hitting the pause button. And what I'm hearing from you both is
Mhm.
taking off those winter coats and all of that stuff that you've been holding, the responsibility, the pain, the angst, taking it all off and walking away feeling lighter. And that opportunity doesn't come around too often. So I really invite anybody that's watching this to, if this is resonating with you, tune in. Now, we've talked about how you might be feeling right now. We've talked about how you might be feeling as you re-enter life, and now you've got tools that you know how to implement on a daily basis. So you get to carry these forward for life. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty a little bit and talk about what you're actually going to be doing during the retreat. Monique, do you want to start us off? I know you offer something very special with your cooking skills here. So, well, I love it because
Yeah.
I think this is very unique, and it's an opportunity that people don't get too often. So speak us
Yeah.
through just that. I know that's just one element of what you're going to be offering, but take us through that if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Absolutely. Of course, food is just near and dear to my heart. I mean, I am a wellness chef, and I was once featured on the Food Network, and food was a very big part of what I had to modify when I went through my own personal experience with chronic pain. And that doesn't mean to say that I had to give up all the great stuff, right? But it was a modification. It was understanding, we want to help you understand how food affects not just your life, right? And people think, oh, you have to eat a well balanced meal, but it's how does that food and the food you eat and when you eat it and how you eat it, how does that affect your muscles? How does that affect your fascia? How does that affect your mind? How does that affect your entire body? And we want to bring that to you so that you can figure that out. Like, we are not just going to say, here's the roadmap in terms of here's the diet, just go follow this diet. That doesn't, who has that worked for really and for how long? We want you to learn these aspects so that that you can have a little more intuition about your body, and if I'm going to just take a step back too, because one of the things we want you to walk away with is be able to say that you are your own body whisperer, right? And so you get to manage your entire body, but it's also learning to as Stacy mentioned, the signals and the words and the symptoms that are being sent to you by your body. How do we learn to understand that a little bit better so that we can use food to nourish it, or learn how to eat a different way, or when to eat, or what to eat together, so that the body can become stronger and help you reduce some of that pain? So yes, amazing, delicious meals. I've run and cooked for many, many, many retreats now, and we invite you to be in the kitchen with me. You can stand right next to me, and you can learn all the recipes, and you will get, of course, all of our recipes at the end. And if cooking's not your thing, we also want to help you figure out how to make that work too. So don't come in the kitchen, don't be in the kitchen, just show up for the meals and eat them. But then we want to talk to you about how do you order. Like, if you're going out, if you have a job where you are out entertaining clients 4 days a week, that's
Mm.
incredibly difficult. Or if you have a job where you're traveling every week, these are incredibly difficult things to manage when you don't have a kitchen at your disposal either. So these are things that we are going to work through with you, so at least you can look at a menu and know how to talk to and ask for certain things, and how to put together something that's going to work for you. So yeah, food, love that we hit food first, because it's a really big aspect, and it's not just the food, but as I mentioned, everything that comes around the food, how you eat, but then also, something I've learned with all of my clients and myself too is, sometimes there's this aspect of others in your house think that all of a sudden you're going to change your diet and get healthy and leave them behind. So now how do we deal with that? You're changing your food, and then your kids don't want to eat that. Your husband doesn't want to eat that. Your partner doesn't want to eat that. Your family, whatever it is. So, there's such a big reach when it comes to anything that involves food. So we want to work with you to help you understand this, help you figure it out, to help you have that intuition, but also to arm you with some tools to say, okay, I think I can implement this at home, and I can go forward with this. Yeah. And feel delicious, feel good, feel know that you ate really good meals, and not walk away being like, oh my God, I have to stop at a grocery store and get food. I have to stop at a fast food and get food because I'm hungry. It's like, you're going to be well fed.
I love that. And did anybody else pick up on Monique's passion for food there? I mean, seriously, come on now. I
I
love
get
it.
so crazy about
I
it. Yeah.
love it. No, I love it, love it, love it. We all share it. So that's something that we're all connected for. And this is because this is the power of food, right? And I don't know about you guys, but for me, having been in health and wellness also
Yeah.
for 20 plus years, it absolutely breaks my heart when I see somebody that's on track, they're doing great, and then they have to travel or for vacation, or they're doing for work or the other people, and they stop and they put themselves on the back burner. And I love that you are giving them access to you guys to have these conversations, to say, but how do I do it when this happens? Because you know what? This is life. This is life. And sustainable lifelong change happens when we address the nitty gritty stuff, the stuff that gets in the way. And so I love that you're making yourselves accessible to answer those questions, because these are things that will change people's lives. So I absolutely love that. Now, Stacy, I'm going to come over to you, because I know that this isn't just about eating on this retreat, right? We're also talking about movement. And what else have we got in store?
Oh, well, besides the fabulous food, I will say that.
Besides
One,
that, I mean, honestly, the food is good enough to go and just hang out with you guys. But there's more. There's more. There's so much.
more. Well, I think it's fun. One of the things that drew Monique and I, we share so many things, and we also have the things we specialize in. And I absolutely love food. I love teaching people about eating. And so we share this. So we're both excited to be in the kitchen and sharing this with people, but also sharing in the movement piece. So Monique will be leading some movement practices as well, because she's got some techniques and tools and pieces that I haven't worked with. And so we're all going to be complementing one another beautifully in that way. But for the movement piece, there'll be daily movement practices that are going to range from some very calming practices as we arrive to work with some nervous system regulation. So there will probably be some yin yoga, some restorative yoga, some very calming yoga, no yoga experience necessary, by the way.
Awesome.
That'll be the kind of the calming end of that. And then on the other side of that, one thing that I really focus in on working with is the fascia of the body. So there'll be some education going on, some teaching with all of this, just like we're teaching in the kitchen. We're going to be talking about movement from the perspective of what does it take to create healthy fascia in the body? What is fascia and why are we even so concerned about it these days? So I think when we can understand these aspects of fascia versus muscle and cardiovascular health, and again, have the conversations to fill in the blanks for people so that they're empowered with this knowledge of how to use their bodies. So some of the practices might be myofascial stretching, which can play into yoga, but it's a little more focused. We'll be using some of the Eldoa postures. That's a tool that I work with that helps decompress the spine by working with the fascia of the spine. So it's been super powerful for me. It's a tool I've been working with over 10 years now, and I won't stop because it's so powerful in helping people relieve spinal pain in particular. The myofascial stretching, I have found that in a combination of the yin yoga or just relaxing, restorative like yoga and breathing and mindfulness practices, the combination of those have been so powerful in helping people resolve pain and helping people decipher when do I use which tool when, right? When should I use a more relaxing practice? When do I need my Aldoa? When do I need to just go for a walk? When do I need to just sit and breathe? And so I think that's a really important thing. It's been a learning point for myself of in the past, if it's been a stressful day, well, I'm going to go to the gym and have a hard workout. That's a good opportunity for me to re-injure myself or hurt myself. And so understanding where we are on that stressed scale. And if we're really, really stressed, a stressful workout may not be the best medicine for us at that point in time. So just like we'll be using food as medicine and movement as medicine, we'll also be working on dosages and timing and having the conversations around that so it becomes an intuitive thing for all of us. Um, as we have this retreat experience, but also as we move into our daily lives after.
Absolutely love that. And I can attest to Eldoa. When I met Stacy, I lived with 5 herniated discs in my back, and Stacy and Eldoa changed my life and got me pain-free. So I can attest to the value of this decompression of the spine, like personally. And I'm so grateful for you and what you do. You spoke to nervous system regulation. So I want to break it down for some people that maybe aren't familiar with that term, as to what they might experience that as. We might know it as fight or flight. You might recognize it as just being on edge. I think, that feeling of, oh, I'm barely keeping my head above water, right? If you've ever experienced any of these, Monique, Stacy, if you couldn't explain that in any other ways, those are terms that I hear often that are indicative to me that their nervous system might be regulated, and might be dysregulated, sorry. And so what we want to do, and the goal of the retreat from a more nerd, I'll use the term nerd way. Okay, right. We're going to go into nerd speak for a second. That, you know, you might be walking in with fight or flight with a dysregulated nervous system. And the goal is to have you walk away in a state that we call rest and digest, right? Which is a regulated nervous system. And once you learn how to do this, and the fact that there are two different ways of being, then you can recognize that there's a choice. Without the contrast, which many of us, I lived in with a dysregulated nervous system for over 50 years and didn't know it. When I knew it, then I could start to make a choice through knowing that there was a contrast. Then I could choose. And we all get to do this. And so to me, what you guys are offering, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is the opportunity for somebody to experience that contrast and to recognize that then they get to choose. And you're giving them so many tools to help them choose this as they re-enter into their life. So I love that. How else would you guys describe? Is there another way that you might recognize that somebody's nervous system is dysregulated? Either of you.
I think that you said it all beautifully. One thing I'll add in there that's a really good, easy barometer is breathing, right? So I can have someone come into me and not even have to say anything. And if I can see or notice how they're breathing, it's going to give it away. And I think that's a really neat thing because we all breathe as long as we're here. And so we have that as a constant feedback tool is where are we in that contrast between fight or flight or rest and digest. And I think one of the important things to mention here is that when we're stuck in fight or flight, unwinding pain, I'm going to say, is pretty much impossible. Like we keep getting wound up, and then it takes less and less time and less consequences to get us wound up. And so with this spaciousness of the retreat and sensing this contrast of like, wow, that's what rest and digest feels like. I think, you know, oftentimes we might go on a vacation and think we're going there, but it's not. So our intention is to really get you to bathe in this sensation. So you have the contrast and then you can choose, but also understanding that when you're in fight or flight, unwinding pain is pretty much impossible if you want to unwind pain for real, right?
Yeah.
So when you know where you are on that scale, you're now going to have the tools to help bring yourself back and know when and where to apply those tools.
Yeah. And I think,
I might add,
sorry,
I was gonna say, I just might add just another simple thought to that. I couldn't agree more with everything you both said. And you know, something certainly the breath thing was one of the things that was really big to me. Like when I first realized where I was breathing and how I was breathing and all that. But
can you
I
speak
also
to
think
that
like
for a second, Monique? Sorry,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, can you just, I want people to recognize what that breath actually feels like so that they can understand. You both referred to it, but what is it exactly with the breath that they would recognize that might just be that eye-opening experience, right, for somebody?
Yeah. Let's just experience it for just a moment. Let's go ahead and just, you know, maybe get quiet in yourself and just check in with yourself. If you breathe in, take a nice breath in. First of all, where are you breathing in? Are you breathing in through an open mouth or are you breathing in through a nose? Like that might be the first thing you might want to check in. All right. So then second, as you breathe that big breath in, where is that breath going? Does that breath sit way up here in your chest? Does it fill this whole chest up first, or does it fill down the whole diaphragm? And when I say the diaphragm, I think there's also a confusion of like the yoga belly, which is like breathe in and push your belly out and then let your belly come back in. It's like it's your whole diaphragm. And this is something that Stacey's Aldoa class really helped me understand from a better understanding of that whole diaphragm. Like Are your side bodies rising? Is your back body rising? Is your pelvic floor dropping down? It's a whole balloon that fills there. It's not just this breath up here, and it's not just the belly out, right? So that's a part of it, is learning how to control that breath. And you'll feel it. You ever got into an accident and you're like, and you're like breathing right up here, right? And that's that stressed breath. But it doesn't take just an accident to give yourself that stress. Just the mind, right? If you have a thought in your mind about you're driving home and you're expecting a fight with your partner, right? You're ruminating on that fight. You know, she's going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and this is going to happen, and then this will happen, right? That's that chronic stress that's also ruminating as well too. That's going to have, notice where your breath goes when you start to think stressed in that sense as well too, right? And I think that can lead me to where I was going with the other thought of like, well, what does this mean when you say fight or flight, or am I always stressed? It's like, do you feel like you're just tight all the time? Are you just always living up here? Like, our hope is that you can walk away from this and just sort of maybe just be in your body. I remember the first time feeling like my shoulders actually dropped down, the first time ever. And I was like, oh my God, they're so heavy. I didn't even know. I feel this opening that's happening here. Like, it's just this idea of, can I walk away just in a little more peace? And of course, we'll spend lots of time talking about this and just helping you practice it as well too. And but it's all, remember this too, is like, you don't just walk away and your whole life changes in 4 days. Like, these are all little, like, it took us a long time to get here. And I agree with you, Karen. I think I lived in the fight or flight for 50 some years. Like, right. It's just, so it's like we're working on we're peeling an onion, and there's just layers and there are layers and there are layers. And we're gonna dig into those layers. We are really going to spend some time from a functional medicine standpoint to work on a timeline, and you all have a very own personal timeline of, how did I get here? What did it take to get me here? Right? From how I was born, how I was raised, the things that happened to me, antibiotics that I had, thought processes, deaths in my family. There's trauma that happened throughout your whole life. And we look at like what brought us here, but then we start to peel those onions. How do I start to unpeel those? How do I start to release some of that old trauma that might be stored in the body? And how do I start to make changes going forward so that I can use some of these tools? I don't keep storing some of this new trauma, right? And so there's so many layers to this. Like, we could spend a whole weekend working on it.
Yeah.
But we are
I
going
mean,
to
I
do
know, I
just
know
that.
that. Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, imagine 4 days immersed with these two amazing women, just at your fingertips, essentially, right? Available to have these conversations that have been in your head, that have been in your heart. How did I get here? Why do I feel like this? And suddenly having those answers and being able to, just like Monique and Stacey were saying, decompress and let it go, and give yourself permission to start today and evolve and move forward and start to do life differently. Because that is the permission that pause gives you. We need to stop. It's like we need to give ourselves a timeout in order to be able to recognize where we are without judgment. Right? You may be used to judging yourself and judging your body and comparing how you used to be and you're not now, and these horrible, harsh things that we can say to ourselves. And being able to hit the pause button and walking away and leaving it all behind. And like you said, having this toolbox to keep practicing, because it is a practice. We are onions. I say to people all the time, I'm a work in progress. That excites me. It doesn't daunt me or make me scared. It excites me because I know with every tool that I learn, with every tool that I implement, the more I work with amazing women like the two of you, like, the more that we get to go inward, take a peek of what's actually going on in there, and start to let go of the things that are no longer serving us. And so it is such an amazing opportunity to come and spend time up close, personal, intimate with the two of you, in all of your beautiful authenticity. These are real women who are going to be vulnerable, who are going to share, just like you have here, where you've been, so that I know you always inspire me and give me hope, sharing your tools and your joy. And they can do the same for you. So, is there anything about this retreat that we haven't talked about that you think is important for people to know? We'll make sure wherever you're watching this video that you've got the date and you've got the location. It's going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, right in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So you're being held in a super sacred space there. But we'll make sure that you've got the information to get hold of Monique and Stacy, and get more information regarding pricing and rooms and things like that. But this is an intimate retreat. This is not for 20 people. So this is hands-on. So share a little bit about how many people that you have room for.
Yeah, it's a small retreat and we have max room. I think we could fit 11 at this point if the rest of the beds were filled. We have potential for a private room still available and shared rooms. And it's the 13th through the 17th of March. So I think, anything else I would like to share? I feel that this is a culmination of everything that's got me to this point in my life, how I've loved food and have had to work with food to change it to improve my health, taking out things that were inflammatory and just digging deeper into things to have a better understanding so that I felt empowered to make the choices I was making. And so through food, nutrition, through movement, understanding and deepening my awareness of movement and the breathing, the mindfulness, the stress regulation, and like you've both said, of not recognizing that, yeah, for 40 years of my life, living in fight or flight, and we get so used to it that we don't know anything else. And it wasn't until I was able to be away on retreat, totally removed from my reality, that I felt oh, that's what that feels like. And so I'm really, really excited to be able to be offering this because it's all of these elements have had such a profound impact on my life and my health, my well-being, my zest for life, my energy, and my desire to share and connect with others. So that's what's driving me to do this, and it's really, really exciting to do. So I'm bringing this energy through to share with all of you in the hopes that you can bring these things together and find the spaciousness in your life to move differently, to be differently, and using these elements as a part of that. I call them our superhuman tools. We all have them. Like breath is the first one. And no one teaches us about these things generally in school, unless you have parents that are really mindful and know these. But these are things that I really truly believe should be taught in school, and they're not. And so here we are creating retreat experiences so you get to remove yourself from life and really cultivate this sense of the other side of the coin. That balance, what balance really feels like.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Yeah, amazing. Monique, how about you? Is there anything that you would like to add to that?
So many things. I mean, everything Stacey's saying, right, just kind of wraps up why we're doing this. But I think from a personal standpoint, I came from that chronic pain and had those experiences where doctors were like, well, nothing we can do for you. Here's a depression medication. Take this, right? I've had chiropractors who said to me, well, it's probably just your bad attitude. That's why you're still like in pain, right? There's so many there's so much that we take on from other people and that then become triggers for us, but not just triggers, they kind of like weigh you down. And I will say from my own experience, I was no longer sort of me. It was no longer Monique. I was Monique with chronic pain. right? And that's a different person. I sort of was like removed, like I saw myself as somebody who was removed from society and unable to participate in a lot of things. And that affects how I thought, just being in a room with somebody, even if we're just sitting and watching a movie. I was still Monique with chronic pain, so I still wasn't there. I was probably thinking about a lot of pain. I was thinking about what doctor am I going to see next, or who am I going to go to next? What am I going to do? Like, nothing's getting better. I'm frustrated. Like, life is over for me. All of that, right? This is what my rest of my life is going to be like. I guess this is just it, you know? So I think it's like, if you're at that point where you're having those ideas and those ruminations in your head, you're like, this is it. Like, there's just nothing else. I guess I'll just go on the depression medications, or maybe you're already there. You want to be able to make a difference. This is why we've created this retreat, because I didn't have anybody to help me. This is, back in the early teens, when there was just wasn't anybody there. There wasn't help. There wasn't anyone to go to. And when I did go to try to get help, it was always like an excuse about, well, it's there. You're just going to have this the rest of your life. Your parents had this. It's just what you can expect. You played heavy sports. There was always like an excuse stopping me from getting better from external sources. And so it's like, I had to finally say enough. I need this to change, and I'm going to take hold of my life. And that's what did it. Right. It's not easy. It's not to say that, again, what to walk out in 4 days and your life you'll never have to deal with pain or stress again. But this is why we want to give you these tools, so that you can start getting yourself out of the situation you're in. But then what happens when life happens again and you get those little pain feelings again? Now you'll have the tools to pull yourself back out of it, right? And be able to understand that there is an aspect of maintenance that's going to be needed on all of our bodies. But the truth is, all of our bodies need it, whether you have chronic
Yeah.
pain or not. We all still need some sort of maintenance. So we want to just give you those tools and help you, because honestly, from my standpoint, I just didn't have anyone there to help me. And this is the whole reason I left my corporate job, and I'm doing things like this, because you need help, and we're here for that.
Yeah. I love that, Monique. And I think, I wonder how many times people have walked into the doctors and they're in pain, and the doctor says, you're just getting older, right? And we're gaslit and we're dismissed. And the shame of it, the crime here, is that it doesn't have to be the hardest thing in the world if we just understand the root cause of the pain. And that is the clarity that you are giving people in this retreat with all of the modalities that you're sharing. And I think too, I know for me, when I have been in a room of women who have experienced something the way that I have, going through breast cancer did that for me. It was suddenly a club I never wanted to be part of, but it is an unbreakable sisterhood immediately, because we all understand each other, and we get, just like you've spoken to right now, Monique, the complexity of the emotion behind the pain, right? It isn't just pain. We understand that this is life altering and affects everything from the moment you get up in the morning until the moment you achingly lie down in bed at night and go, oh, as you're hurting, right? And so to be in a space with people who get it is priceless, honestly. You cannot put a price on that, on being heard, on being understood, on being supported. And know that, I hear all the time people are saying, like, I feel like I'm going crazy, like nobody gets it, like nobody understands. And imagine being in a space where people do, and being accepted and cared for and poured into. That's what's available.
And heard.
To you. And heard.
And heard.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing like it. And so I am so fortunate and honored to call you both friends, but also to just be able to share this with my community, with your communities, so that so that you can help people walk away without pain. I mean, it just brings me so much joy to think about that, to think about people walking away with less pain and less stress and having these tools. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Like I said, I will make sure that around this video, all of the details are there. You'll be able to reach out to Stacey and Monique. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing to help women across the world. Really appreciate you.
Thank you,
both.
Karin. Thank you for all you do too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Women helping women. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. 100%. Bye for now, everybody.